Welcome to episode 104 of Drew's Sports Crew. Here on this Monday night, myself, Drew Skyberg, brings in the sports world here before the Horizon League semifinal game featuring the Milwaukee Panthers. So I'll be watching that here. That game should tip off around 8:30ish is kind of what we're expecting. So we're gonna stay, watching that. That's again against Cleveland State. So that's what's going on right now for me. But really, right now, we got to talk some sports. We have to talk about a huge upset in a regional final game in Division 4. Talk about Brilliant, doing what they were expected to, running through regionals on their way to sectionals. All right, we have to talk about the Bucks sadly losing for the first time here. First time since like January 21st or something. So, bittersweet week in sports in the Wisconsin area. So we'll start, of course, with some of those announcements. We have one spot left in the fantasy baseball league. We are at 9 people right now. Goal, of course, but if we can get 12, why not? Why not get 12? Also, March Madness, right? Drew's March Madness challenge is here. The bracket challenge, I like to call it as well. It's again a $5 buy-in. Just contact if you're interested. Again, at Drew Sports Crew on all platforms: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Contact anywhere there, and I can get you a hold of the information to get in the pool. And again, the big thing about this pool, right? 100% of the pool is paid out. So keep that in when you're checking out pools. This one 100% is paid out. So why not, right? Why not join it? So that's the big thing I'd highlight. And of course, right, the baseball, if you're interested, right? I know fantasy baseball kind of gets a bad rap, but we'll wait and see if we can get a couple people filling in that league up. But otherwise, let's roll here on to high school. We'll talk about what's going on in the Eastern Wisconsin Conference. 2 teams are left, right? We had 3 teams make it to Saturday in the regional final, where we saw actually Kiel and Brilliant square off. That ended up being, 2 of the teams played each other on Friday. I'll kind of start it with that, or Saturday, my apologies. But we did have Friday. We had some teams make it to Friday, right? In this one, it was Brilliant who took care of Chilton 64-43. We had Kiel. So they Moraine Lutheran. It was a close one. 58-56 was the final there on Friday. And then Two Rivers had to go to Southern Door. And Southern Door got the job done 71-58. Valders had Sheboygan Lutheran at home. The 5 and the 4. Valders takes care of business 51-40. So again, that was Friday. We'll go to the Kiel Brilliant one. I'll read stats for this one. We'll talk about the game. Again, no stats though for Kiel. 63-45, that was the final. And it was a pretty low scoring first half. Brilliant kind of took advantage in the second half, did what they do best, and they took control of the game here. A very balanced scoring attack for Brilliant. I think that was kind of the story, against Kiel, right? You play Kiel the third time, you're 2-0 against them. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year. But what we saw in this one was, a really, really nice balanced scoring attack featuring, right, Jeremy Lawrence and Grady Geiger led the way with 16 each. And then we saw Caden Holly with 10, Parker Brown with 9, Owen Krepling with 7. And then we saw about 5.7 assists for Olsen, though. 7 assists to 1 turnover. He had himself, it's usually Parker Brown leading the way there, but he had himself a day there on the assist side. Just an exciting game here for Brilliant, right? Making it through regionals. And again, we'll talk about who they're playing at Denmark on Thursday. But let's go to that upset I was talking about. I mean, this game was wild. No stats, unfortunately, but I can kind of talk about what happened there. Actually, they travel to the 4th seed. They travel to number 1 Howard's Grove, number 2 in D4, I believe, and they were number 1 for a good chunk of the year in Division 4. Was this Howard's Grove team? Very balanced team that had, this team was very talented, right? Tanner Schumacher, Trent Grunwald. I mean, they had 3 double-digit scorers. They just had some phenomenal athletes. This Howard's Grove team historically very good. They were 22 at the time, and they finished 23-3. But really, this Valders game was an incredible one. Back and forth the whole way. And then, it was really Cole Hovey takeover, 6 minutes left in the game. It was 3 straight and ones. He had a streak of, I wish I could tell you his point total. I'm gonna guess 20 plus. Because I mean, second half it was cool, the whole Cole Hovey show for Valders, and then really in the start of the game, I mean, it was Olsen just had a great game offensively, really put together. Whether it was popping threes or in the post, overall nice game. And then Will Siriaki, when they needed a shot, Will was there to take it for this Valders squad. So exciting win, exciting upset. I mean, this game again, 60-60. Valders has the ball, right? 9 seconds left. They bring it up the court. Then they have a 3 from the left wing, missed. Cole Hovey rebound, put up at the buzzer. 62-60 was the score. People thought the game was over. But, I mean, we ended up seeing the officials add a half second to the game, which in a regional final, which I've talked about with multiple people, you don't see a lot, right? I mean, not even at state game. I mean, for years past, if you remember some of those state games, then the buzzer beaters, they're not adding time back on the clock. They just let it run. So to see that in a regional final with even no replay, no TV, I mean, kind of shocked. I mean, they have live streams now, but obviously can't really do replay in high schools. So not, an interesting call, I'd say. But again, Howard's Grove was the 1 seed at home, number 2 in the state in D4. But Valders, they took it to them. They win 62-60. To talk about where those two teams are playing next, we'll start with the Brilliant, right? I mean, they ended up having an interesting thing going on. Number 6, Campbellsport. They beat Utzberg at Utzberg, 56-41. They take care of business there. Then they go to Southern Door. They get the job done 43-36. So the 6th seed makes it to sectional semis, and they have Brilliant. So they end up getting a tough matchup there. We'll talk through what Campbellsport has done this season, kind of like players to watch out for Thursday in Denmark if you're going. And overall, we'll talk about this team. So again, Campbellsport, you'll find them in the conference. They ended up being taking second in that conference, 11-3 season for them. And again, their best player, you'll see Mitchell McCarty, 20.2 a game. Jordan Ebert averages 12. And then Cole Caney averages 11 for this team. Also, I should add with McCarty, he averages 13 rebounds. So, I mean, this team, and he's also number 2 on their team for assists. So, I mean, Mitchell McCarty is going to be the guy that's going to stand out on this Campbellsport that right away. And again, he's a 6'5" senior. So, he's had a big year. And again, that's Campbellsport's player. I mean, to watch out for. And then overall, right, this team 20-6. Just to kind of talk through some maybe similar opponents, many WI or high school basketball fans know, right? I mean, New Holst, or they've played some EWC teams in non-con, so that can kind of give us some sort of cue. So they beat New Holstein 71-49. Okay, that was the first game of the year. That doesn't really help us, but some games I want to talk about. Thursday, December 29th, they played Sheboygan Falls at Sheboygan Falls. They only win by 9, 54-45. So it's like, okay. But then you see they played Division 1 West Dallas Hale, who's 14-11. They play a Division 1 school, and they only lose by 5. So it's a really tough team to gauge. They played St. Mary Springs close. I mean, it's an interesting squad again. Again, this St. Mary Springs team lost to Kohler, who we'll talk about, who Valders is actually playing, which a little big upset there. Not a little upset, a big upset. Ends up really affecting D4, but it's like this is a team that got hot at a great time, and they ran through. I mean, Utzberg, a team who we thought had a good shot of beating Southern Door, thinking Southern Door was going to get there. But then Southern Door, the 22-4 team, they fall again in this one to Campbellsport. So it's getting messy here in high school basketball here, especially with the computer rankings. We're seeing a lot of different upsets, and it's been interesting. Keep in mind, Southern Door played Brilliant. I mean, Southern Door lost 9-31 to Brilliant. So, I mean, you gotta like the spot for Brilliant. But again, you got to take it one game at a time. But certainly you have to like the matchup if you're Brilliant. I mean, that's at least where I'd I'd stand on it. And again, that game Thursday at Denmark. The other game, Valders and Kohler. This game's at Two Rivers. Neither of the games got moved. These were the sites. Sometimes they move sectional games. Usually not the sectional semis, but on Saturday we might see some of those games get moved. So with Kohler, let's talk about what they have done this year. So Kohler's in the Big East South, and they matched up again against St. Mary Springs, who was 23, and I believe 2 at the time. I mean, they were a dominant squad. That was a team who we thought, Valders wins, gets the upset over Howard's Grove. That's who you'd match up with. But Kohler, I mean, they surprise, and they get that nice win, 82-72 in that. We'll talk about their top player. Trey Keller stands out for this team, 22 a game. Jalen Paul, right? I mean, Jalen Paul, 18.4. Max Greenbach, 12.8. If you are an EWC fan, you know those guys from, again, they're on KLC. They're on that football team. So it looks like also Reese Breitenbach averages 9 boards and 6 assists. So, some of these team or players on this team, right, have played, again, Valders here. So again, in KLC with the football squad, but let's talk about this 20-6 Kohler squad. I mean, this team averages 81 a game. This team can put up points. Is kind of the main takeaway for them. They beat Sheboygan Lutheran by 20, early in the year. They lost to Howard's Grove also by 20. They also lost to Lutheran by 5. I mean, later in the year, it's an interesting one. They didn't play St. Mary Springs. They played St. Mary Catholic in the year, but Catholic, again, very dominant squad. Also, 24-2. Both St. Mary's schools have been very good, but going back to Kohler, talking about kind of some common games, talk about kind of some of their matchups to put in perspective. They have some nice wins. I mean, again, they lose to Howard's Grove by 20, but again, they beat Reedsville by 11, right? I mean, Reedsville's a very good school, even in D5 where they're at. But then they also have some tough losses. It was to Utzberg by 24 as well. So, look, I'm intrigued to see how this one's going to go for Valders. Right? I mean, Kohler's a hot team. They played well. They have a really nice offensive core of, Paul Breenbach and Trey Keller. So I do think there's some firepower in this offense. Valders defensively, that's going to be the story in this one. Which team can play defense? Both these offenses are very good. Again, Kohler made 188 threes as a team this season. We'll see how many Valders made. Keep in mind stats we might not all have. Valders has 182 in theirs. But again, Valders is 20-7. But look, they play in a tough conference, right? I mean, we talked about Valders playing in a conference with some D3 teams, but they're in D4, and then we see, of course, Kohler in D4 playing in majority a D4 5 conference even. So, and then with Utzberg D3, that conference has kind of changed. A lot of change in that, but I'll be watching the Valders Kohler game. That game again be live streamed Two Rivers High School. Keep that in mind when you're checking out streams. Campbell Sport Brilliant, that game will be at the Denmark High School stream. So again, keep all that in mind when you're checking out these games. Looking forward to those. We can kind of give some insight on, who either Kohler or Valders will play, or who Brilliant and Campbell Sport, who they will play. So I can tell you, we'll start in D3. Brilliant and Campbell Sport, and I won't preview those other teams until next week. Actually, that won't help you because the game's Saturday. But we'll talk about how those games took place this past weekend, of course. But Brilliant, Campbell Sport, winner of that one, will go and play Xavier or Little Chute in the North bracket, and that game right now is scheduled to be at Oconto Falls. Again, these sectional final ones have a tendency to get moved, so we'll wait and see on that one. And then we'll go to Division 4. And in this one, Valders or Kohler is going to play either Kenosha St. Joseph Catholic or Williams Bay. Williams Bay, the 6, upsets Horicon, the 2. And that game is going to be at Whitefish Bay. Is that sectional? It ends up being sectional, final. It's interesting how both those sectionals got matched up. I would have figured they would have taken a different area, for example, but they did not. So like in D4, like the St. Mary Catholic side, I thought like that would have made more sense. But yeah, St. Mary Catholic, the one they won by 3 over Oconto. And in that D4 side, that's like where Mishicot is, Oconto, those schools, Coleman, Kiwani. So just kind of tying it all up there. I mean, that's kind of where we're at with high school, right? The 2 teams left in all EWC basketball is Brilliant and Valders. So we're going to keep that in mind, and good luck to both those squads Thursday. And right, I mean, congrats to Keel on an awesome season, and of course to all the other schools as well. So that's going to wrap it up for the EWC talk here this week. And again, we'll talk more girls conference to get all that finalized, and of course the boys conference teams as well. Special thanks to wisports.net. Again, check them out for all your high schools, scoring that you need to find, and all the news on WSNwisports.net. So let's transition here now. We're going to move on up. We're going to go to some professional basketball. We're going to go to the NBA here, talk about the Milwaukee Bucks, and we'll talk about what happened this past week. Look, they're 18, but I can tell you they did, in fact, lose against Philly at home on Saturday. But this past week, we'll kind of recap the week. Right. So I was last week's episode, we talked, right? I mean, it was like, okay, they play in Brooklyn. How are they going to do? They just had that, that thriller against Phoenix. They end up taking care of business, no problem. 14-point win. It's like, all right, that back-to-back to Orlando, kind of concerned because we didn't know if Giannis was going to play on Tuesday. He ends up playing just fine. He did fantastic. 33-15. You go to Orlando, or you go home to Orlando. You put up 139 points. You take care of business too. Giannis plays in the back-to-back. Cool. Then you got Thursday, Friday off, and Philly comes to town. This one was back and forth, and right, I mean, Bucks took control in this game. Grayson Allen had himself a phenomenal third quarter, and then it was kind of like, okay, Bucks were in control, made some big shots to close it. It was like, okay, just need a few stops, and then it was like, okay, James Harden gets a 3, go down the court, don't score. Then Joel Embiid pulls a 3, and it's just like that, Philly was in the driver's seat. 48-point fourth quarter. That'll do it. I mean, it was, again, Grayson Allen he had 6 for 8 from 3, 20 points. But again, I mean, this Philly squad, it was, it might have not looked pretty for, Harden 11 for 26, but efficient when, I mean, otherwise, right, it was 38 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists. Might have not been the most efficient numbers, but again, 11 for 11 from the line. Embiid, you can't talk about, all the great things he did, 31 points. And then Embiid also had 10 assists. I mean, that was huge, right? Both your best players having 10 assists a pop. Come on. So, I mean, again, Philly went on this one. I mean, they didn't play many guys. I mean, like Shake Milton, Paul Reed, 9 minutes. They really ran a standard 8-man rotation. Bucks had a little bit more like a little bit more balance, but not really. I mean, Milton 27 minutes on the bench, but 2 for 8, 6 points. Milton's not there yet, 5 fouls too. So we're just waiting for him to get back in the swing of things. But it was a weird back-to-back. I talked about this last week. You go from Saturday night game to Philly. You got to go fly out to Washington for a night game there in Washington. Ended up being okay. Bucks got the job done. No triple-double for Giannis, 9 boards. Because the NBA again deemed that you have to a field goal attempt is with intent, basically, and they're saying he'd have intent, so did not count. Not sure what I think about it, but not too happy. He also had 13 assists last night. That was kind of the other story, how the Bucks played in that win. Again, it was only a 6-point win, but honestly, it felt like Bucks were in the driver's seat the whole game. I feel like it's a weird how it ended up in a 6-point game, but yeah, no, you asked me, Bucks kind of won by double digits. So, however, we have an off day tonight, right? And then tomorrow, go to Orlando. I have the Bucks winning that. The prediction challenge, I already put it out for you. So I already kind of mapped out the schedule. Like the Bucks in that one. Then you go home to play Brooklyn on Thursday at 7. I like the Bucks in that one. I got them winning. Then you go to Golden State on Saturday, a West Coast trip here, a 3-game one. Golden State, Sacramento, Phoenix, all very good teams in the West. Golden State 7:30, ABC. I have the Bucks losing that one, just because, right? I mean, you go out to Golden State, it's gonna be a tough one. Don't know how Steph Curry's doing. He could be back shortly. It sounds like so. Got to keep that in mind. But we're almost to the end of the NBA season. April 9th is the last day for regular season games. Bucks close the season out in Toronto. So, I mean, we're almost there. We're talking standings. The New York Knicks did the Milwaukee Bucks a huge favor last night. Double overtime win over the Celtics. Bucks up 1.5 games. Also, again, Boston, I believe they lost to Cleveland tonight, too, if I'm not mistaken. Or is that game still going on? Let me see. But point is, or no, that game's still going on. But the Celtics have lost 2 in a row. So that's what we're seeing. And again, the Bucks are 1.5 games up in the Eastern Conference, which again, this is huge. I mean, home field advantage you want, but home field advantage throughout the playoffs, yes, that is. And even overall, I mean, gotta have the best record in the league, or better record than the team you play in the finals. But if you have the best record in the league, don't have to worry about who you're playing. So looking good for the Bucks. Gotta just finish strong here. Again, 46-18, up 1.5 games over the Celtics, up 4.5 over the 3 seed. Really, I mean, the Bucks are locked for a 1 through 3 seed. I mean, that's ideal, right? But you certainly want to have that one spot in the East for sure. So really like the spot for the Bucks right now. Division title, yes. We don't really care about division titles, but the Bucks will be having that shortly. They're up 7 again over the Cavs, so almost there. Let's go. We'll talk, of course, some baseball as well. All right, I mean, spring training. We still got to talk about it, right? Things are still going on. And right now with the Milwaukee Brewers here, story is World Baseball Classic starting. So not many Milwaukee Brewers are actually going to be anymore. But I'm trying to pull up the schedule here. As again, this week we have some games. Actually, an interesting one that I want to watch, but again, it won't be on. Bally Sports will not have it on. They're playing the Great Britain World Baseball Classic team. I think that's always fun. Like when teams play, teams that aren't major league teams in games like this, like an exhibition. It's awesome. 2:10 Central. Like games on the radio though versus the Great Britain team. Brewers were off today. White Sox tomorrow. And then, again, that Great Britain team Wednesday. Giants on Thursday. The game is on TV, so this is really what you care about. Bally Sports and the Brewers Radio Network on Friday. 2:10 is that one against the Guardians. And then the game's on TV on Saturday, too. And it's on Sunday. So, 2 games on Bally Sports Wisconsin. So, we like that. And again, the Royals are the one on Saturday, 2:10 also. But I mean, we're almost there. We really are almost there. 3.5 weeks away. For that home opener, March 30th. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I mean, many are. Again, fantasy baseball, we have only a few spots left. As again, next is kind of when we're looking, or not. Maybe next week we'll do our draft. We'll wait and see on that, but it's what we're looking at and give you a standings report in spring training for the Brewers. Again, spring training standings, not really a big thing. Brewers are, though, 4-6. And, the run differential is -1. So they're kind of where they were in the regular season last year, even. Of course, they finished over, but the run differential being around 0. Anyways, yeah, I mean, it's always cool to see what teams are doing well in spring training, right? Kansas City's 10-2 in the Cactus League, Boston's 7-0 in the Grapefruit, but not much else going on there. Brandon Woodruff had a really good first inning was the story, for the Brewers a few days ago against, again, the Mariners. But otherwise, how players have performed in spring. And it's really hard to say, spring production, it really doesn't matter, but it's cool to look at, how you can still see some things. For example, Garrett Mitchell has had a great spring so far. Granted, a lot of it came 2 games. Mitchell's looked good. Again, Rowdy Tellez has looked good. 3 home runs already. And yeah, he's looking great. Otherwise, some other guys who just keep note of. Hedbert Perez with the Brewers, an outfield prospect. He's looked good. I mean, he's put together some nice at-bats. Exit velo's been good. I've seen from him. Yelich has looked great. So there's like some guys, Tyler Black. Right? I mean, some guys we want to see, make their way up this year. Sal Frelick. A lot of those, right? Those Brewers in the farm, they're in the farm system. They've looked good. So that's been the main update, of course, with the Milwaukee Brewers. And I guess I'm going to go through some of these announcements I got here before we go. I mean, we talked about the Brewers. We talked again about the Bucks. No talking about the Packers this week. Not much to talk about, unfortunately. And then, of course, going through the EWC, what's going on there with basketball. So got through those. Scheduling this week. Tomorrow, again, 4:15, around there. Again, Zach Roush and Jared Valesky will be joining me. Another episode of Journey to Million. It's going to be a lot of fun on that. And later this week, we'll be previewing a slate of NBA DFS as we do. So that'll be coming your way again. We'll see at the slates. I've been approaching those Friday or Saturday slates because they've been better, really. So that's been the main thing. But I'll keep you posted on which one I'll be targeting there. And again, signing up with Fantasia Sports on that. But otherwise, March Madness, sign up. That's already next week, next Sunday, Selection Sunday. So I'll have to talk about that, whether I'm happy or not that Marquette got the spot they got, or hopefully Milwaukee gets a bid. We'll see if the Badgers get a first 4 game. That's what they're on track to do right now, or maybe on track to do right now. But otherwise, that's going to wrap it up here for myself, Drew Skyberg, here on this Monday night. Thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Drew Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.